נקדש את שמך בעולם כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום ככתוב על יד נביאך וקרא זה אל זה ואמר קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות מלוא כל הארץ כבודו אדיר אדירנו אדוני אדוננו מה אדיר שמך בכל הארץ ברוך כבוד אדוני אחד הוא אלוהינו הוא אבינו הוא מלכנו הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו ברחמיו לעיני כל חי אדוני קדוש 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 אלוהיך ציון לדור ודור הללויה הללויה הללויה
Hi everybody. Today is Saturday. I'm just now getting it together. It was like 2:30 already. We were supposed to attend Bryan's memorial service today at 1 o'clock up in Oshkosh. And, well, I'm still suffering from a little colitis and other effects, and I woke up at 8:30 and I was in full intention of going, but unfortunately I had a bout of colitis, which kind of kept me, had to stay close to home. Gosh, I miss Bryan already. It's been since January 6th he died after suffering from a protracted cancer of the pancreas. Most people say he was lucky to survive that long. He was otherwise very healthy and fought it the whole way. Started out with treatments from Mayo Clinic, and they seemed to have things in hand. He never wanted to discuss a prognosis or how long he had left to live or anything like that. So I knew he didn't really want to discuss the nature of that disease with me. For the last 2 years, of course, COVID was in the middle of it, and I was afraid to actually go up there and maybe spread COVID to him in a weakened stage. and it was just a bad time. So I did not go visit him. Although every week at least I would be on the phone with him and we would talk and carry on. Bryan was a wonderful person. Just a really top-notch, high-quality individual. And I think everybody who met him knew that. I was so honored to have him as a friend. He even stood up for me as a best man at my wedding. So we go back quite a long time. The first time I met Bryan, well, it was through business. I wanted to expand and adapt my computer system from something rudimentary to something better. And I don't know how I hooked up with him through AT&T. And I had bought an AT&T computer. And next thing I know, he called, or I called him, and we started working on this project that took about 10 years to finish. It was putting in a whole new database with a Unix system. So we became fast friends. I was working on this project, and he was giving me some advice as to how to do it. I used to throw parties out at the farm and he and Joanne would come to some, and it was always nice to see them. We were on the phone at least once a week, and once a month we went out for coffee. It was kind of a little ritual of ours. And we'd meet halfway after he moved up to Oshkosh. We'd kind of meet halfway at the Steiner's and a couple other different coffee shop restaurants along the way. And every time we try something new, Hankerson's was a stop. And we even went into, not Iron Ridge, what's the next one up there? Mayville. We picked out a little place in Mayville. And that's what we did. I don't remember, a weekday in the morning, we'd meet up and talk for a couple hours. And he was sort of a mentor to me. I was having a lot of difficulties with my sons. And Bryan had a very wonderful nature about him. And he gave the right kind of advice and let me figure a lot of it out for myself. And eventually, over all these years, the one thing, and the year that he was dying, I had told him I got to visit both my sons, AJ and Christopher. They were now living out in Tucson, and we reconnected as father-sons, and it was the most wonderful thing. And a lot of that was due to Bryan's patient advice. That was wonderful. And finally, Bryan, from what I understand, he fought it the whole way. And then in the last while, he transferred his care over to Fredert, and eventually he became bedridden. And I was offering to come see him and transport him, whatever he needed. And he never really took me up on anything like that. But I was with him in the end, via the phone, of course. And, well, I wrote a note when he died on January 6th that this is the day that Bryan's suffering ended, and it's the day his new adventure begins. Not a terribly religious man, but I am very spiritual, and I know wherever he is, he's in a good place for Bryan. So I miss him, I think about him, and I always say he was such a wonderful friend. It's hard to make friends as you grow older. You know, I think we became friends when we were in our mid-30s or 40s, and 1990 seems to be the day the date. Well, I was going to tell you, the first time that I knew Bryan was my real friend was I had double foot surgery, and I was laid up in the hospital, and it was quite painful. Bunionectomies, they saw through bones, and it's just really a tremendously painful experience. And they had me under anesthetic, and I was coming out of the anesthetic the night after the surgery, and it must have been just to the end of visiting hours, and no one is there. I woke up in a room, and I was all by myself, and it was, a little frightening, and the pain started to come on because the pain medicines wore off, and I see by the doorway a silhouette of a man, and I could hardly make out who, and then he came forward, he came to the bedside, and it was Bryan. And I thought, my God, this guy, what a wonderful person to come and see me at that time. And I thought, this guy is good people. He comes from good people, he is good people, and I'd be honored to be his friend. I thought that right at that time. We've been palling around for all these years. It's always been funny and a lot of fun, and all the things we did. We went fishing a lot. I remember taking my brother-in-law Winnie, who's an Indian from India, out on the ice on Pewaukee Lake in my Subaru, and the ice, you could hear it crack in the distance. It sounded like a shotgun shooting by the car. And Winnie, who's never had any experience with icy lakes of any nature, he's in a tropical place, first year in the U.S., and he had married my sister, and Winnie was a good guy. And Winnie was so frightened by this, and it was kind of black ice that day where you could kind of see into and there wasn't open water, but there one section of the lake you had to be careful, you don't want to go by, and we could hear those cracks shooting through the ice, and I thought Winnie was going to jump up my arms like a cat. But we got him back in the car, settled him down, and we took him back home. We didn't even get a chance to really fish. You cannot believe him because they don't have ice, they don't have lakes, they don't have icy lakes anyway. And he was saying, yes, we were in the lake with the car, and I heard the cracking. I was so frightened. And we both laughed because it was funny, but it wasn't really. And we got him home safe. But that was our little adventure with Winnie. So Winnie always held a good spot in Bryan's heart, and he always asked about how's Winnie doing, and every time we talked and so forth. So I'm going to end now. Don't want to get on too long. So that's my feeling about all this. And gosh, I miss him a lot. And also just with Joanne, his wife, I mean, come on, you can't catch a break. Oh, so I hope you guys find solace and meaning and spiritual feeling. You had a great dad. You really did. Anyway, try to keep in touch with me time to time. Send me a Christmas card, a little note. I'd feel well knowing that Bryan's kids are doing well as well. So I'm going to end it here, and bless you all. Bye.